Hey everybody, Mark Allen. Welcome back to Mondays with Mark Allen. It is August 9th, 2021. The Tokyo 2020 Olympics just finished yesterday, August 8th, 2021. Not even in the same year. I guess that's like super fashionably late. Anyway, what an amazing Olympics. What an incredible effort on the part of Japan, the people who live there, the volunteers who put in their time. Arigato gozaimasu for everything that you did to put together just this incredible event that nobody even really was sure if it could compete, if it would happen, if it could take place. Even Thomas Bach was saying, you know, head of the IOC, the Olympics, the guy who's like the voice of it, he said every single day, we didn't know if it was going to happen, but we had to say, yes, somehow it's going to. Thank you, Japan. Incredible performances. You know, the athletes there, they're in such a rarefied air. And of course, when you see them in the context of the Olympics, they look like everybody else in the context of the Olympics, right? I was on an airplane just actually a couple days ago, a very quick trip, 24-hour trip, and I was in the airport waiting for my flight, and I looked over and there were two people who walked in, sat down in the waiting area just like 2 seats over from me. And I'm looking at, first of all, the way they move. They're not moving like normal people. Secondly, their bodies are not like put together like everybody else in this waiting area. And thirdly, the guy who was there had shorts on, and I have not seen veins and muscle development in legs like that since I used to race with Ken Souza, a great duathlete that was one of my great training partners. Anyway, a man and a woman. I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, these two have to be Olympians. You do not look like this if you're just going to a Pilates class. I'm sorry. So I go, hey, you guys just coming back from the Olympics? And they go, yeah, you know, we're heading home. And so I was looking at their bodies, and it was clear, like, these two, they're not weightlifters, they're runners. And so I said, what events did you run in? And the woman said, well, I ran in the steeplechase. And the guy said, oh, I was in the 1500. And they had masks on, so I couldn't really see their faces. And when he said he ran the 1500, I'm looking at him, I'm like, oh my God, that's Matthew Centrowitz. He won the gold medal in Rio. He was hoping to come back here in Tokyo and defend his title. Unfortunately, he had not his best semifinal. He didn't make it to the finals. Anyway, so I go, wow, I recognize you. And so then I turned to the woman who I didn't recognize, totally embarrassing myself. And I said, so what did you run in? And she goes, oh, the steeplechase. And I go, how'd you do? Well, I got the silver medal. I'm like, silver medal? You are got to be kidding me. It was Courtney Frerichs, and it was actually one of the few track and field finals that I did not see on TV. If you have not seen that, you should watch it. She just goes for it, takes command, gets this huge lead, ends up eventually getting past it in the end of it, but just an incredibly gutsy performance. She was exuberant. He was very quiet. Clearly, you went a silver medal. You're going to be pretty happy about it. You don't qualify to defend your gold. Yeah, you can have some second thoughts. He's 32 years old. Anyway, so it turns out they were sponsored by Nike, who was my sponsor. And I said, you know, I've had many years with Nike. And they go, oh, what'd you do? I said, oh, I did triathlons. And I could tell, you know, I said I used to race Ironman. Matthew Centrowitz was born 4 days after I won my first Ironman championship. So clearly, I don't expect him to know who the heck I am. But anyway, where am I going with this? The thing is that the Olympics is such a rarefied moment. And each of those two athletes and every athlete in the Olympics, they had their experience. Some, it will be great, something they'll cherish forever. Others, it will be something that they'll wonder, what could I have done better to have done better at that one day that counted most? But regardless, when they go home, they're going to have their normal lives. They're going to have to do the laundry, go to the grocery store, deal with other disappointments, deal with relationships, evolve who they are as people, grow older and see their bodies not perform at the same level that they did when they were in the Olympics. And as I got off the plane on this same flight that those two were on, and I went to the hotel, it was about a 20-minute car ride. And it was in a city that I hadn't been in years. It was in Portland, Oregon. And there was garbage on the freeway. There was plastic everywhere. And I was thinking, geez, that's what this has become. This was such an amazing place years ago when I used to come up here for time with Nike, my sponsor. This is something that we all have to figure out. There's plastic everywhere. It's not going anywhere for 10,000 years. There were homeless people living in tents all along that freeway. I was shocked. Here we are, the nation that won the most medals in the Olympics, and we have people living in tents on freeways without water, without sanitation, maybe without hope. I don't have the answer, and I don't want to bring the height of the Olympics down, but what I do want to highlight is that we need to embrace these moments, the Olympic moments, the great moments in sport that bring us all together, and at the same time remember that we all have a responsibility to this place called Mother Earth. Mark Allen, Mondays with Mark Allen. We'll see you next week. And if you are having Olympic withdrawal, don't worry, because the Beijing Winter Olympics are going to happen in about 6 months. We are so lucky. And lucky is something that we should always remember. Alison Felix, in one of her final interviews, she said, you know, this is so much more than just about running. I am just so grateful. Grateful is amazing. We'll see you next week.